I'm just hesitant to elevate a guy that we have yet to see play in the NFL, no matter how good a prospect he is, to RB3. We mentioned generational prospect, and that may be true, but Nick Chubb has been a generational running back. He is going ahead of Nick Chubb in drafts. Saquon Barkley, while he hasn't maybe had the career that we have hoped for, most of that because of injury, like a generational talent in his own right coming out, and he is, going ahead of Saquon, just to name a couple. And I moved him down even below some guys that I know you will maybe disagree with. I won't mention all of them because one of them I know is on your bust list here in a little bit. But I mentioned this stat previously. In the last 23 years, is from Sports Illustrated, there have been 51 running backs drafted in round one. 4 of those guys, which is 8%, have finished with more than 300 fantasy points, which, by the way, look at the RB3. That is pretty much what you need to be the RB3 is 300 points looking at the last couple of years for the most part.
Did you use this stat last year?
Not last year, but I used it when we talked about Bijan in the show a couple of weeks ago. But I just thought it was worth mentioning again. 9 of those running backs have scored more than 250 points. So you're basically asking Bijan to be in the top 25% of all 51 running backs drafted all time to even be a second or third round pick. And I feel like I'd feel a lot better about him as a mid second round pick than a mid first round pick. Like I'm cool with Bijan. Like I have him RB9, but I totally get if you want to take him ahead of some of those other guys that have their own issues right now, like RB6. But RB3 to me, like I just think there's a big difference between RB3 and RB8 or 9 where I have him right now. I just think there's a very wide range of outcomes, and the most likely is that he is closer to like that second round value. Like you look at Tyler Algier, he was never our favorite guy, never our favorite prospect last year, but he was good, 1,000 yards. And now people say, well, Bijan's going to step right in, do that, and then some. And he probably will, but also that doesn't mean that Tyler Algier is just going to get kicked to the curb. That doesn't mean he's not going to be involved in any capacity. Like this team has the ability to baby Bijan, to slow play it early in the season if they want to. Like people talk about the pass game involvement. Cordero Patterson is still there, could still be very much involved in the passing game. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, both very good prospects, potential to be very, very good players. We talked about, we had the argument with Drake London about the volume concerns in the pass game. Well, if there's volume concerns for the number one receiver in the pass game, there are volume concerns with the running back in the pass game. And I think people get too worked up about like they see Bijan win on a downfield route in practice and think
against a linebacker.
Yes, against a linebacker. But even if it's against a safety or a cornerback, like how many times is Austin Eckler and Christian McCaffrey doing stuff 20 yards downfield? Like it may happen every now and then, but it's just not enough to move the needle to make me care from a fantasy perspective for these guys. Like what happens to Bijan if he's even remotely eased into this job? He's not going to live up to the RB3 if that does happen. And I just think that it's pretty dangerous betting on him to be a historic rookie running back. Historic prospect and historic rookie running back are two different conversations.
Yeah, and I have him at RB7, so I think I'm in pretty agreement with you. Like RB3 is rich. On Underdog right now, he is going above Nick Chubb, who is, just might I say, like not only a generational RB prospect, but probably the best pure runner in the NFL.
Yep.
Saquon Barkley, who he's compared to as a generational running back. Derrick Henry, who has been generational.
He has a 2,000-yard season to his name.
Yes. So like just those are some guys he's going over. I don't agree with. Just to give some pushback on this, though, a little fun stat. There have been a total of, I don't have it in front of me anymore. I think it's in the last 5 years, a rookie RB has finished in the top 6, 4 out of the 6 years. So there's definitely reason to lead people to believe that he's going to finish high. My concern would be in agreement with you. Tyler Algier is a player who is going to be a factor in this run game, probably annoyingly so. And then secondly, like they came out today and they said he's going to get 10 to 12 touches a game regardless, that being Tyler Algier.
Yeah, and not sure if we can take that to the bank necessarily. We know how that goes, but my rebuttal to that stat, to anybody who's using that stat, would be okay. So take him at RB7, RB6 at least. Like RB3, you are taking what you think he can be and pushing it to the 99th percentile and taking him. And again, you're doing that with all of these top guys. You're taking that high, but we're doing it sight unseen with Bijan. So it's just a different level of risk and one that I'm not taking. Now, could I see a world where like Bijan is the RB 18 for the first 7 weeks, and then he's the RB3 for the last, 8-9 weeks of the season? Like, yeah, I could totally see that. I could totally see that happening. And then it's he and Brees Hall as RBs 1 and 2 next year. But I think it's a little bit of dynasty brain creeping into this ADP with Bijan.
Well, I just think the last part of it is like that other players on this team, like Saquon Barkley, competent offense, Tony Pollard, competent offense, Nick Chubb, competent offense, Derrick Henry, the offense runs through him. All of those players, like I don't have questions about where the offenses are going to go. With Desmond Ridder at quarterback, there is a non-zero chance that the offense absolutely falls down to the floor and Bijan can't get anything going because teams don't care about putting 9 men in the box and stopping him every game. So you're also taking a player on what I would consider an objectively bad offensive unit.